My name is Onyeka Onwenu. A few weeks before the coup, the BBC and Nigerian television asked me to report as a Nigerian television journalist on the situation in my country. Recently, like many Nigerians, I've felt frustrated and saddened by what has happened to us. We've had our independence for more than 20 years. By third world standards, we have a well-educated elite. We had a productive farming economy. We have minerals. And we discovered a few years ago that we had oil, a lot of oil. Yet today we're importing food that we should be growing. We are a bankrupt nation, and we have an international reputation for large-scale corruption. Many of our people are unhappy, and some even hungry. What has gone wrong? This is what I set out to explore.
Yo, I got Hafiydhz and Elijizy coming through on Dirt Alert, bitches.
Yo, what's happening, world? Dirt Alert is here, and we're back. You know, the second edition of the podcast, and it feels good to be back here again. I got Elijizy. What's up, man?
Motherfucker, how you doing?
I know you've been waiting so long to get the profanity out of your system, so can you just wait a little bit longer?
Okay, all right, fuck it.
Well, the podcast is up. Pinky and the Brain, as Elijizy calls themselves the Brain, and I'm Pinky. But hey, my name is Hafiydhz, and today we have someone, I don't know how to describe him. You get, because we started up a while ago and I knew him as something. Then he blew. I went to the other side of the world and he changed his name.
Let me do the honors.
Okay.
Introducing the guy that actually starred in Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Hey, man,
Yo, he was the Jedi that didn't make it to the movie, right?
No. But now he's not Sheddy on the beats.
Yo.
And when I saw him, he looks beaten. Like,
wow.
Yeah, really beaten. When I mean beaten, you know, he's also became more huge, you know, than.
True, man.
Yeah, than the giant.
Yo, Sheddy, welcome, man.
I honestly feel the two of you have no business being on the podcast. But of course, I mean, you guys are intellectual minds, so I think the world has a right to hear what you have to say. So it's my pleasure to be here. I did not know we were going to start this with shade throwing, so I didn't come prepared. So.
Shade, no, we're not throwing shades.
I would be back. Don't worry. In the words about a Schwarzenegger, I'll be back.
All right. It's nice to have you on the podcast, Sheddy, aka Jedi, aka the chief prostitute.
What? Where did that come from?
Of the world.
Of the world?
Yeah, I've known him longer than you, so it's safe to say I know I'm speaking from experience.
Listen,
wow.
I've known him better than you.
Well, I'm about to ask.
You do realize when both of you say that it could be very misleading to anyone.
In what ways have you known him? But you know, let's get straight to the podcast. Now, we started off the podcast with a clip from Onyeka Onwenu a couple of years ago, like over 30 years ago, when she was talking about how the country was at that time. So we are asking today on the podcast, like, what the fuck is wrong? Because a long time ago, the same complaints that our forefathers made, let me say they are forefathers because they are forefathers, the same complaints they made are still the same complaints we are making back here in 2019. I mean, it's more of like we expect ourselves to grow as a nation, grow as a people, but we still find ourselves in the same mess. So, like, what the fuck is wrong with us, man?
I don't know what the fuck is wrong with us. I don't know, bro. But the thing is that I think we've evolved over time. Okay, we've evolved both negatively and positively. Yeah, we've evolved. But I think what is really, really wrong with Nigerians today is we ourselves. Actually, we are the one wrong with ourselves because the people who are in the government, they are first citizens. Okay, you cannot be in government without being a citizen. Sometimes people will say, hey, I blame the government. But ask yourself this question. If you are given that opportunity, would you do things differently? So to me, I feel we are wrong with ourselves.
I feel it's not really that black and white. I feel it's not one straight answer to say this is the one reason why Nigeria is messed up right now. But I would say from the beginning, we did not really critically have a notion as to what sort of a nation we wanted to build for ourselves. Let's take it all the way back. I sat down some years back and I chose to read a bit of history, and I found out after Nigeria became a nation and gained its independence in 1960, 6 years after, ASU was already going on strike. Like, if that's not the worst way to start a country, I don't know. Do you understand?
You waited 6 years later. I mean,
ASU was already going on strike. First ASU strike 1966, we're already on strike.
A couple of months after independence, we're already at war.
I feel the initial regime, the initial cabal of people who took over Nigeria had a very selfish interest about how they went about it. The few elites who had the opportunity to get education, get that foreign exposure, had come back with the mindset like, you know what, Nigeria is mine. I sat down with the retired commissioner of police recently, and he was telling me about a certain big Nigerian elite right now whose father actually started this nation with minting of his own notes.
Oh, yeah, true that.
I've heard the stories. Yeah. I've heard people in top positions in politics, some who are currently still there, who are beneficiaries of this entire scheme. That is just one angle. I don't want to portray any form of conspiracy theory right now, but the truth is, to a large extent, the persons who started this country did not start it for the vision of people having, aside liberal views, aside having basic infrastructure, not being part of manifestos after 5 whole decades. I don't think they had the mindset to say, this is the Nigeria I want for Nigerians in the future. I think their mindset started with the same business mindset with which the white people who actually sold Nigeria to them started with. The mindset was, how do we make money out of this country? I think that was how they started Nigeria.
There was someone I was having a conversation with, and he said, you know, when the white men were in charge most then and they had their businesses, the black men, we Nigerians, would work for them and would steal from them and would take it home and we tell our people that, see what I was able to get for us from the white man. You get, and fast forward down the line, the white men left. So we now started stealing from ourselves. That's why these days, when you find out that, okay, they come out and say, so and so person stole XYZ amount of money. They will say, is it when our brother stole? You understand?
I'm going to, go down history lane a bit, looking at how America evolved. I saw a documentary a few years ago about men who built America, likes of JP Morgan, the likes of Rockefeller.
I'm always mistaking those two guys. Rockefeller,
Cornelius Vanderbilt, known as the Commodore now, and so many other persons, Henry Ford. Okay, they were in competition, but one thing they had in mind was that aside their selfish interests, their mindset were geared towards solving the problem, not adding to the problem.
True.
Let's not forget that someone from the north, I've forgotten his name, he said Nigeria is not ready yet for independence. The people that actually took the helm of affairs, their greed actually blinded their foresight. So they never did things in order to actually favor the Nigerian citizens. They did things to favor themselves.
If you talk about presidents or leaders who actually change their countries, can't we talk about our neighboring countries in Africa? Like you look at the likes of Ghana, you look at Burkina Faso, Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso, you look at Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya, you look at
it's beautiful. You brought up Thomas Sankara, but you know how he ended.
That's how all African leaders who have tried to make a positive impact end. You either get fucked up by the colonial masters, or you get fucked up by the colonial masters in collaboration with your people.
Sure.
Now let's speaking about in collaboration with your people. That is the unfortunate situation with Libya currently. All world leaders coming together. Oh, we are here to help you get rid of Gaddafi. Where they are in right now, they are not even sure what the plan is. But let's not even take it too far. Let's come back to Nigeria. When I say those at the forefront did not have the best of interests at heart, I feel I might be narrowing it down just to a few names. Let's move it away from those who had direct contact with the colonial masters. Let's bring it down to some of the people who had business dealings with some of the colonial people. In the East, you had the Igbos who were doing business. Do you understand? In the South, you had people from Edo, Ijaw, Ishekiri, and the rest who were both doing trade and at the same time selling their people. I feel the advent of international markets exposed Nigerians generally to a mindset of, what do I get from these people, as opposed to how does their appearance in my community, how does it better the lives of my people? That was not the mindset for many of our forefathers, and I think that's the problem. But maybe they did not have civilization, they did not have the level of education we now have. Maybe they had not experienced certain things to compare. I mean, you're here quoting names right now. I'm sure Judge of Popo did not know who Henry Ford was. Do you understand? So sure. I'm sure the likes of the people before the likes of Ojukwu came through were not even aware about one political figure in the US or the other. They probably just knew them as white man, Obodo Yibo and the rest of them. So yes, there was an initial mindset that was maybe not the most informed. But now, are we doing better? Have we grown? Despite all of these things that have happened in the history, in the sands of time, for all these decades, where is Nigeria today? Because I think that's the foundational problem that takes us back to the discourse of what was really wrong.
We don't have that form of awareness. I'll take you back to one of the campaigns, like actually the greatest leader Nigeria never had, the person of Awolowo. Whenever he would campaign, he had this saying that he wants to put light into your mind. Do you understand? We still don't understand the gravity of that statement. Putting light, giving you that ability to think. I say this without apologies. We as black men, generally around the world, we don't think. We know. There's a difference between thinking and knowing. There are a lot of things we know, whether they're actually correct or not. We know them, and that's what we live by. We don't think to create an idea for ourselves. That's why when you look at our constitutions, we copy. You look at our economic policies, we copy. We do not think of how to create something that is original, that will work for us.
I would agree with you to an extent, and I would still disagree with you to an extent. Interesting thing about it is, one of my favorite years, even though I was not born then, whenever I think about it, and the amount of people that were making a move globally at that point in time, about 98% of them were blacks. It's the year 1964 down to 1966. Martin Luther King, Karl Marx, Nelson Mandela. These were various continents with millions, hundreds of millions of people.
No, those men
but these men sat down to start asking some critical questions as regards, what do we do about this? What do we do about that? Do you understand?
No, that was the era of thinkers. In 1963, when the Emperor Haile Selassie brought leaders from Africa together and the African Union was formed, we had men. Kwame Nkrumah was there as well. There was an agreement that they all decided, okay, in the next 100 years, this is what Africa is supposed to be. You understand? But we had other African leaders who didn't even key in there. They all just went there to sit down and drink tea. And after, they will sleep off when people are talking and come back and implement nothing.
I feel to a large extent right now we have thinkers, but the question is, do we have visionaries? I want to spell out a difference, because it is one thing to have a mindset, then it's another thing to say you want to impact that mindset on a generation. Let's be frank about something. Most of these guys you call thinkers right now had a massive following. Martin Luther King had gone on to create a consciousness in the African American mindset that even whites were now joining his protest. Right now, you have a thought, you have a consciousness that you probably want to push.
Yeah.
But how many people currently in Nigeria would key into it without saying, Hafiydh joked the other day before we started podcast that he has political ambition in how many years.
Yeah.
This boy is, are you sure he does not want to go for office? That's why he's doing it.
But Sheddy, check this out. Like you find out that most of the time, these same visionaries that we have, that have this idea of what the black man should be, the ideas are still being killed and terminated by those same by those same people who are with them, who are supposed to. Thomas Sankara being a direct example, Marcus Garvey being another example. We have black men trying to give black people a bearing, but we still have those same black people taking themselves away from that bearing.
Martin Luther King, to a large extent, created a consciousness on his own as well. There were people who came back and still revolted against him from his same African American lineage.
Yeah.
There are people who also look up to him as, the entire father of consciousness in the current contemporary African American society. While all of this is going on, what I'm trying to buttress with what you said now is there will always be those who have their selfish interests.
How do we develop these consciousness? Because right now, what we see, especially in Nigeria today, is that you only see people who give themselves to rational and intellectual thoughts. You understand, or give their attention based on the fact that, hey, everyone wants to blow right now. If you look at 80% of the youth today, you see that their major stuff is entertainment, money, sex, fuck, suck dick, lick pussies and everything,
I'm a little bit confused right now. You mentioned key issues and only the sex alone, you mentioned like 6, but I get what you're saying. Amongst these people, we've clearly mentioned have misplaced priorities.
Yeah, sure.
Let's talk about those who are actually doing something. Do you know, amongst the same generation of people who are concerned about money, there are those that are trying to build empires. There are those that are hoping that with their hustle, they can actually better the lives of their fellow guys in their area.
Elijizy is one of them.
But let me ask you something. White supremacy, majorly in the US, right?
Yeah, white supremacy.
Random, stupid for no fucking reason explain, just walk into a church and a mosque and you shoot people. Majorly in the US, right?
Shooting black people itself.
Night violence.
That one is even extremism that is gradually now creeping into the UK. It's been more in the US. Texas bombing, Boston bombing in the US. Exaggerated tax rates, poor healthcare and the rest of it. Still in the US, right?
Yeah.
Why aren't Americans jumping off the shores and running off the country? Why aren't Latin Americans who have established business in the US saying, you know what, fuck it, man. If our people are not allowed here, we are going back to Mexico. We'll make better. We'll make better Mayana. My question is, why have they not woken up one day and say we are going out of the US?
The system works.
Exactly.
The system works.
If the foundational structure of anything is set to succeed, no matter how much the individuals who come at any point or time or regime or generation, whether they succeed or not, people will keep coming back to that same thing, trying to see if they can make it work. Americans right now are trying their utmost best to see how they can make sure that the next president of the United States is not only conscious of these things, but can put a halt to them. Nobody is planning to jump ship and leave the US. Mexicans are still going through the border into the US.
They will climb the world.
Trump had to put a law and say, after the thousands of police officers have put here, clearly it's not working. Mexico be informed our new trade deal, I may just fuck that up, and they're like, okay, you know what, guys, maybe we should take it a little bit, people are not. My point is, people are dying in the US, but people are still going there. There is a reason. I keep telling people, I say, I don't want to ever leave Nigeria and go and stay abroad. People feel it's a proud. In fact, I've lost a girlfriend because of this argument. She saved 2 million naira to travel out of the country, and she was like, Jedi, you have a good job at. I was with Vibes then. You have a good job at Vibes. Why not save for like the next 2 years? I said, no, I shall save. I will not eat her, but no, but no, I get your point. Save like 1 million. Do you understand? I know so and so person is. I say, see, my mindset about traveling abroad, as much as I love the idea, is either to do vacation or to do business or attend a seminar or training.
Sure. Do
you understand? And come back. I have no plans of going abroad to stay because that is not my home. My basic question to every single person is, when you hold an office, especially for the public office holders, are you trying to create an imprint that when you leave, people come and say, you know what, this has been the most effective way this ministry has run, the most effective way this department has run, let's maintain this, we might tweak this, tweak that? Or is it more or less like Elijah's regime has finished? I feel like, I'm not the new boss, y'all know where it is. As it is right now, taxes were 7,000 naira last month, y'all gonna pay through your ass today. Do you understand? Because you want to reap there has to be some form of continuity.
True that.
If that is not there, forget it. Everybody will keep jumping ship.
Definitely. Well, I think for me, I'll definitely agree with what you say. But the thing is, I still have the mindset that, hey, we are still our own problem, because it's not everybody that actually knows this shit that you just talked about right now.
You might be surprised.
It's not and some who knows it,
yeah,
they feel, should I say, feel nonchalant about it because of the way the society has, positioned their thoughts, their line of thought.
Aren't we the society?
Yes, we are the society.
Do you understand?
We position ourselves.
Aren't we the society? We positioned ourselves like that.
Okay, so let's wrap this shit up and whoop some asses and clap for some motherfuckers who play themselves. Yeah. So the idea right now is, wherever you are, create that consciousness within yourself, clean your mind, emancipate yourself from mental slavery, and try to build something that would stand the test of time and can also flow on autopilot, right? Exactly. So we are black, we are Nigerians, the green and white and green, the three colors in our flag.
Is it 3 or 2 colors? You don't even know anything.
It's 3, man. It's 3. Whether you like it or not. The other green is a different shade of green.
Different shade of green.
Yes. And until we get it right, the 2 greens will never be the same.
Until we get it right.
Yes.
Oh no, why don't you just say until you become a normal person?
Until we get it right in this country, those 2 greens will never be the same color. Man, one is darker than one. I don't know whether it's the sun or it's rain.
Okay.
Might be your glasses though.
The thing is this: the reason the other green is darker is because Hafiydhz is also dark.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sure.
Cool, man. The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. You don't know what that feels like yet, man. Sure, okay, so today we're whooping the asses of who? We're whooping the asses of Nigerians. Wherever you are, this is for you, man.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Yeah, man. Before we thank this motherfucker, let's play Jedi or Sheddy or.
Can you guys get your act right?
Would you probably in the next 3-4 years, maybe if you're in a radio station abroad, you change your name again?
Okay, can I explain that?
Feel free. Exclusives on the Dirt Alert, man.
Okay, many people don't know this, but the origin for Jedi, I've mentioned before, was actually by my former colleague, still my colleague by profession, but maybe not the same outfit. We started here at Vibes together, Sato EDK. When we met back in 2008 at Faculty of Agriculture, we talked about the whole radio dream and everything, and I told him my radio name then. I can't even mention it now.
Please,
it sounds ridiculous. It sounds like a porn star name.
Please,
Floxy Sheddy. That was my initial plan.
Foxy Sheddy.
Floxy Sheddy.
Foxy.
So he laughed about it, and it was like, nah.
I'm glad you didn't start with
Yeah,
that,
exactly. So he was like, why not go with your movie you've always loved? You know, I told him, I said, the movie that marked the year I was born was actually Star Wars. And my favorite characters in the movie were the Jedis. So it was like, why not Sheddy the Jedi? So that was how it started. And then eventually people kept pronouncing the other as Sheddy. And I'm like, people actually call me Sheddy for short instead of Shedrack.
Yeah.
After about 2 years back then, 2.5 years back then at Rhythm FM, I changed it to just The Jedi. And when I officially was leaving Benin City after about 6-7 years of broadcasting, someone gave me a branding orientation, and he talked about the fact that most brands want a name that is affiliated with your person. Do you understand? Like, if maybe your radio sobriquet, for instance, is not related to your name in any way, is a lengthy description of who you are, because you have to give a backstory. But if I say Elijizy is from Elijah, there is a direct link.
Hafiydh.
Do you understand?
I don't see the direct link, man.
Hafiydh is not.
There is a direct link there.
Yeah.
So instead of explaining to him it is Sheddy the Jedi, now the Jedi, I was like, you know what? Let's just fuck this shit right now. I'll just go with Sheddy. And it was originally supposed to be Sheddy on the radio, but because of the network I'm on now, I just made it Sheddy on the beat.
Yes.
On the beat.
Yeah, that's how it went.
Alright.
Yes.
I'll change my name to Elijizy.
Yeah.
Vibes.
You play yourself, man. If you're gonna do that,
You play yourself, very true. Because I'll be limiting you to just one network though, because anything can happen tomorrow.
I'm just kidding, bro.
All right, so big appreciation to Sheddy on the beat from Beat FM Abuja joining us on the podcast today. Hopefully, Dirt Alert will come to Abuja, and maybe we'll bring you. Can have EDK on it, motherfucker. We can have a couple of people. How's Thrills, by the way?
Thrills doing great.
Really?
She's great. She's great.
Okay, so how can you get a live suya to eat in Abuja?
Live suya.
Yeah.
I'm confused. What the hell did you just say? Is that something called live suya?
Yo, the suya will be alive. It will walk into your hand, and you eat it. It's very spicy.
with
Like, am I the only one lost here? What the hell is live suya?
with tomato that has sense.
Wow.
Fresh one.
Oh, I think I get it now.
Yeah, but
You guys
real
are
quick, man.
ridiculous.
Big question. We always have a big question to ask on every episode of the podcast. So today, this week's question, this episode's question is: what is the difference between condition and congestion?
Condition and condition.
I see you did a very good job trying to keep a straight face on that one.
Yo, so what's the a couple of someone told me that condition is the state of which Nigeria is in. Nigeria is in the condition, while Nigerians have condition.
Someone might be listening to this podcast when I say these are the problems why Nigeria is not growing.
No, Hafiydh is number one problem why Nigeria. It's true though. Think about it.
What the hell is a conjunction?
Condition like
Congi, like Konjition. Condition.
Is that like an English word?
So many.
I have no idea what to tell you.
Okay.
I don't know how to even defend this question right now.
Yo, man.
I don't know.
Okay.
Conji is a slang. I don't know how it became condition, but I believe the editors of the dictionary need you guys to help out on that one.
Yeah.
And condition, I think that's whatever state you're in, present, past, or future.
the
So
condition.
I just explained that, man. What's your problem?
Well, condition is a state you can be in the present and in the future.
Okay, it's very possible. Yeah, because Because it's past, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I get you.
Yeah, so
You guys have way too much fun on this podcast.
yeah, that's bad.
Way too much fun.
Radio is so serious, so we're trying to make it.
Yeah, I totally get you.
Definitely. Okay, so I'll be coming to Abuja soon, though.
Okay.
To come pay you a visit.
That's no problem.
But I'm not taking Hafiydh with me because it matters. Okay, so thank you so much, Sheddy on the beat. We are back again on Dirt Alert, right?
Yeah, in 2 weeks. Yeah, in 2 weeks with another episode. This episode is actually titled Niggaria. Yeah. Niggaria.
Nigga in the area.
So I don't want to like activate the woke side to me, but why would you call it Niggaria?
Yeah, like Ghost said, I bet the white man had a chuckle and said, let's call it Niggaria. And Flora Shaw was like, oh, you mean Nigeria? We're like, oh, Niggaria, yeah.
She not
That actually sounds smart now.
She not drew it from the rivers, like the two rivers,
Okay.
like Niger.
Okay, it's all good.
Before we go, you can reach me on social media, Twitter and Instagram at Hafiydhz, Hafiydhz. That is at Hafiydhz, Hafiydhz.
Go and change your name. You heard what he said. Change your name to.
No, it's still his name. That's his name, so it's fine.
Well, it's so confusing. That's why it's very confused. Well, at Elijizy, Elijizy. You can catch me on radio, of course, at Vibes FM 973 on 052 Traffic 3 to 7 p.m. and Saturday breakfast from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. Sheddy.
Mine is Sheddy on the beat on all platforms: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and so much more.
You're out. Piss, bitches.
And you know.
You guys need help.
Yo, I got Hafiydhz and Elijizy coming through on Dirt Alert, bitches.